シベリアを2つ送れ。
はいよ。いいよ、待ち。
あの子たちは？
親の帰りが遅くてね。いつもああして待ってるんだよ。
そうか。ありがとう。
毎度どうも。
君たち、ひもじくない？これを食べなさい。そこの店で買ったばかりのシベリアです。
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Anime Kitchen, the show where we bring the food of anime and other media to life. Today's menu, the Siberia from Studio Ghibli's The Wind Rises. Siberia is a dessert comprised of a Japanese red bean jelly called mizu-yokan, sandwiched between two fluffy layers of castella cake. With all that being said, aprons on, let's go. To get started with the castellas, we're going to heat 115 grams of unsalted butter and 115 milliliters of milk in a small saucepan over medium heat. When the butter has fully melted, set this aside to cool slightly while we focus on our eggs. For this recipe, we'll need to separate 7 fresh eggs. Crack the eggs in half and then pass the egg yolk from one shell to another, like you're seeing on screen. Once the whites have been separated, place the yolks aside and repeat with the remaining eggs. Moving away from our eggs for the time being, we're going to sieve 115 grams of all-purpose flour into a medium bowl. Then we're going to whisk in the slightly cooled butter and milk mixture until fully combined. After this, we're going to slowly whisk in our egg yolks in 3 to 4 additions. Ensure that before mixing in your egg yolks that the flour, butter and milk mix isn't too hot, otherwise you'll end up scrambling your eggs and you'll have to start all over again. Once the eggs are all whisked in, you should be left with a smooth and thick batter like you're seeing on screen. At this point, you can also whisk in 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract if you're not into an eggier tasting cake. Going back to our egg whites, using a hand or stand mixer, we're going to whip these up on a medium-high speed while adding our sugar in a slow and steady stream. Whip the egg whites until they reach soft peaks. You'll know that you've achieved this when the meringue is white and glossy, and when you lift the meringue up with a whisk, it should hold its shape, but will be dripping downwards at the end of the whisk, as I'm displaying here. Once the meringue is at soft peaks, add in your egg yolk mixture from before and fold the batter together until just combined. To ensure that we keep in as much air as possible, we're going to be folding in the same direction every time and using larger sweeping folds. Make sure that you also get underneath the batter when you're scraping with the spatula so that everyone is well incorporated. At the end of the folding process, your batter should be thickened by the egg yolks but still nice and airy, and you've also achieved a homogeneous light golden colour like so. Now we need to prepare our baking tins. Start by spraying down 2 21cm square tins with non-stick spray and line them with baking paper, ensuring that the bottoms and the sides are fully covered and that you've also got some overhang for easy cake extraction. Then we're going to wrap the base of our cake tins with aluminium foil, as we're going to be baking these off in a bain-marie later on. With our baking tins now fully lined, we're going to divide our cake batter between the two as evenly as possible. To ensure that we get an even rise on our castellas when baking, we're also going to level out the batter so that the surface is completely flat. After that, we're going to place our tins onto a baking tray or a roasting tray if you've got one that's big enough for your pans, and then we're going to carefully pour in about 2 centimeters worth of hot but not boiling water. This was probably somewhere around 80 degrees Celsius. Once your bain-marie is prepped, carefully transfer your cakes into an oven preheated to 150 degrees Celsius and bake for 1 hour. When the cake's nearly done baking, we can start on our filling, the mizu-yokan. Bring together 120 milliliters of water to the boil and stir in 10 grams of gelatin or agar until it's fully dissolved. Then we're going to add in 500 grams of smooth red bean paste and stir over a medium heat until it becomes a thick and spreadable paste-like consistency. Once it reaches this stage, we can turn off the heat and allow it to cool until we're ready to assemble. After an hour has passed, we can remove our cakes from the oven and allow these guys to cool for 10 minutes in the pan. Then after that, we can transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool for an additional 10 minutes. During that time, let's appreciate how nicely and evenly these guys brown in the oven. With our cakes now cooled, we can get ready to assemble. To begin, we're going to line one baking tin on all sides with cling wrap, ensuring that you have plenty of overhang on all 4 sides. Then to actually assemble the Siberia sponge, we're going to place 1 castella, golden side down, into the base of our pan. Next, we're going to pour over our mizu-yokan and spread the filling evenly across the cake. Finally, we're going to top this off with our other castella, golden side up, and cover the top with the overhanging cling wrap that we prepared earlier. Refrigerate this for 4 hours or until the mizu-yokan is completely set. After a 4-hour power nap in the fridge, our mizu-yokan is completely firm and we can begin cutting the cake. Gently remove the cling wrap from the sponge, and then with a long serrated knife we're going to trim all 4 edges of the cake to show off those nice and defined layers. After that, we're going to slice the Siberia into quarters before dividing each of those quarters into 2 even triangles. With our Siberia sponge cake now complete, all that's left to do is pour ourselves a nice cup of tea, admire the cross section of the cake one more time, Now let's have a bite. And as you can see by my reaction, this turned out fantastically. The castellas came out extremely light and fluffy, and the red bean filling is very sweet, which pairs beautifully with a cup of black tea. It definitely isn't a surprise that Jiro continually ate these throughout the movie. As always guys, thank you so much for joining me in another episode of Anime Kitchen. I'll see you next Friday as we make dango from a wide variety of animes. Until then, roll up your sleeves, slap on an apron, and I'll see you in the Anime Kitchen. Peace.